So I just hit my 12-month anniversary here at Real Broker, and I want to share a little bit about what my experiences were like over the last year and to give some insight as to why I joined Real Broker to begin with. But before I got into any of that, I need to show some love and gratitude towards my previous brokerage, especially my old broker of record, who I'm still really good friends with today. Actually, I wouldn't even be in real estate if it wasn't for him, but I was part of his incredible team, and not only were we one of the top teams in our city, but at one point in recent years, we were one of the top teams in all of Canada. So all of the knowledge, the lessons that I learned from them, I'll forever be grateful. I just want to emphasize that this is not a story about me leaving something bad. It's more a story of evolution and me finding something that's right for me. So let's get right to it. Why did I join Real Broker? Well, in a nutshell, my life changed. And sometimes when your life changes, your business model needs to change with it. As an entrepreneur, as a father, as a husband, as a son, things can get pretty hectic. And where my life was headed at that point, the team model just wasn't suiting my lifestyle. And I love the team model because it came with a lot of support and opportunities. But with that being said, it also came with a lot of time commitments and obligations. And I was just finding it was getting more and more difficult to commit to them. Things such as a weekly team meeting were starting to weigh really, really heavy on my shoulders. And I realized that the team model just wasn't working for where my life was headed. When you're part of a team at a traditional brokerage, there are certain fees and splits that need to be paid out with every transaction. But let me be clear, those fees and splits at a traditional brokerage are there for a reason. I knew exactly why I was paying them. I have zero bitterness about it, but the reality is that business model was probably better suited for an agent that could produce at a higher volume. In fact, in my last year at my brokerage, I had to pay out just over 6 figures in fees and splits. And as much as I understood where I was going, that number hit a lot differently when I knew that I had to slow down my production. So I started doing my research, and that's when I came across Real Broker. Actually, you know what? It was way back in 2022 that I first learned about Real Broker. And at the time, the president of the company was Sharon Shrivasta. And I just so happened to have a really close coach and mentor who was close personal friends with Sharon. And just knowing the type of person that my coach was as a person and an entrepreneur, and him being so closely connected to the leadership at Real, that gave me a lot of confidence on what kind of culture to expect there. From a pure business standpoint, the Real Broker model just made more sense to me. Things such as monthly fees. At my previous brokerage, I was paying close to $400 a month just on fees alone. These don't include splits or other fees such as desk fees. At Real Broker, these monthly fees were gone. And I'll do a dedicated video breaking down the full Real business model on another video. But for now, in a nutshell, the Real business model was just significantly more of an economical structure than my previous brokerage. And for an agent that had to protect his margins, knowing that I had to slow down my volume, that mattered to me a lot. So the one thing that I was not expecting to make such a huge impact when joining Real was their stock purchase program. So every time I do a transaction, a portion of that money would go towards company stock. And when I was with my previous brokerage, I was already used to paying those fees and seeing the money out the door, but with Real, that money was being used to build an actual asset. And after my first 12 months, I accumulated thousands of dollars in company stock, some of which was bonus to me by the company. Yes, Real gave me free stock in the company. I won't share the exact numbers on this video, but I'll tell you what, if you click the link in the description and book a discovery call with me, I'll show you exactly what my numbers were and how my first year went with the company to give you some insight as to what can be accomplished with them. So not only did the stock purchase program allow me to build an asset and keep more money in my pocket, but the split structure at Real was what really got me. So just to put it in context, when I first joined Real, the splits were 85-15. So for every transaction I did, 15% would go to the brokerage, 85% would go to me. When I was at my previous brokerage, first off, I was nowhere close to an 85% split, but they would take a portion of each deal forever for as long as I was with the brokerage. With Real Broker, there was a cap on what they would take. So I would pay that 15% up until at the time it was $12,000. I believe since then it's increased to $15,000 in Canada. But regardless, the moment I capped, I then moved to a 100% split. And economically, especially knowing that I was having to slow down in my production, that was a significant factor in why I joined Real. So I want to share something with you that genuinely blew my mind. In my final year with my previous brokerage, I actually received an award for hitting 6 figures in GCI. And when I decided to join Real, I knew that production would go down and that I would hit this dip financially. I was prepared for it, and I kind of made peace with the idea that I probably wasn't going to make as much money as I did the previous year. But here's what really happened. I actually matched my GCI from my previous year with my final brokerage. Not only that, I did it by doing only a third of the deals. So same income, but only a third of the deals. That is not luck. That is what happens when you have a better business model that works for you. So let me be honest with you. The one thing that made me nervous about leaving a traditional brokerage to join a cloud-based brokerage was not being around people. I'm a people person. I really enjoyed being part of a team and seeing everyone at team meetings and events. And by joining Real Brokerage, I was kind of worried that the cloud-based model would make me feel isolated in ways. But let me tell you, the opposite happened. I've met so many amazing people at Real Broker through Instagram and other social media platforms, through their platform WorkVivo, and through a bunch of real in-person events. And the relationships that I've made have been amazing. Some of these relationships, I'll honestly call them friendships now at this point, which surprised me that it happened so fast in only a year with them. But the best story I could tell is at my first big Real event, I saw our CEO, Tamir Poleg, at the other end of the room, and I was a bit nervous to approach him because I had been following him on Instagram and I really admired the stuff that he was doing. But you know what, I sucked it up, went over, shook his hand, introduced myself, and he spent a lot of time talking with me. He was genuinely present during the conversation. And for an agent that is a first-year agent at a new brokerage, for the CEO of the company to be that present in a conversation, that meant so much to me, and it reaffirmed that I had made the right decision to join Real. So if I were to break it down to 3 reasons why I left my traditional brokerage to join Real, here's what I tell you. Number 1, financial. It just made more financial sense because essentially I keep more money in my pocket, especially for someone that cannot operate at a high volume. The financial side of things just made sense. Number 2, for the first time in my real estate career, I feel like I'm building actual wealth, not just income, but an actual asset. And number 3, the community, the culture, and the leadership at Real blew me away. I never would have thought that I would have felt so connected at a cloud-based brokerage. And as much as I left my previous brokerage with a lot of gratitude, I would do that all again. But the last 12 months at Real have just been amazing, and I am genuinely excited about what the future has to hold in my real estate career. So if you're an agent in the Greater Toronto area or in Ontario and you're feeling similar sentiments at your traditional brokerage, click the link in the description. Let's jump on a discovery call. No pitch, no pressure, just a way for us to collaborate and share our experiences and maybe answer some questions that you might have on your mind, similar to what I experienced over 12 months. For now, I want to thank you for your time and for watching this video, and I will see you on the next one.